I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street.
You've heard of CBD oil, right? Everybody has. CBD oil helps with relaxation as well as joint and muscle pain. But do you know what hemp-derived CBD oil is? Let's talk about HempWorks. HempWorks products are made from industrial hemp plants grown on Kentucky farms. And the CBD constituent that naturally occurs in industrial hemp is just one of over 85 cannabinoids that is identified in the cannabis plant. HempWorks CBD oil is CO2 extracted, resulting in a solvent-free, pure extraction. HempWorks offers 500 milligram and 750 milligram full-spectrum hemp oils. They also offer them in 2 flavors, peppermint and natural. They do not use any artificial sweeteners or flavorings. They also offer THC-free versions of these oils if you are subject to regular drug screening. HempWorks CBD oil is non-GMO and organic, produced on Kentucky farms, and is free of GMOs, synthetics, fillers, and other harmful ingredients. HempWorks is so confident in their oils and products that they give you a 30-day empty bottle refund policy. If you change your mind within 30 days of ordering, send it back and they will refund your entire purchase price. HempWorks offers several products, including an anti-aging cream, a Revive cream infused with collagen retinol, which has incredible benefits for the skin, a Relief cream, which helps soothe and relax muscles. Also, HempWorks has products for pets. There's dog treats and CBD oil. And the dog treats are soy-free, corn-free, and grain-free. I believe that HempWorks ships to all 50 states and some countries. So if you're interested in learning more or purchasing any of these HempWorks products, go to www.hempworks.com/BREXHEMP84. That's www.hempworks.com/BREXHEMP84. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Most workplace drug screens and tests target delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, and do not detect the presence of cannabidiol, CBD. Cannabidiol, CBD, is a naturally occurring constituent of the industrial hemp plant. HempWorks does not sell or distribute any products that are in violation of the United States Controlled Substance Act. The company does sell and distribute hemp-based products. Hi everybody, this is Steve Owens from Fascination Street Podcast. I really appreciate your listening to the show. I'm having a lot of fun getting to talk to some really fascinating people, and I want to continue doing this, but I need your help. I need you to subscribe and tell people about the show. But the biggest thing you can do to help me is to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen through. As a special thank you, anyone who rates and or reviews the show, send me a screenshot as proof and I will mail you a set of 3 pair of silk cufflinks courtesy of my friends at Menlo House. You can send it via Twitter to @FascinationSTPD, via Instagram to FascinationStreetPod, or email me at FascinationStreetPod@gmail.com. I really appreciate all of you for listening and for helping. Thank you so much. Now let's get to this week's guest. Hey guys, this episode is with Joseph Lyle Taylor. Currently, he's one of the bad guys on Season 2 of Sneaky Pete on Amazon. In this episode, we talk about growing up in small-town Texas and then moving to the Big Apple. We also talk about working with Spike Lee, Margot Martindale, and auditioning for Woody Allen. Crazy story. We talk about Justified, Sneaky Pete, and working with Christopher Nolan on The Dark Knight Rises. Enjoy, guys. This is Joseph Lyle Taylor.
Yeah, talk to me, yeah.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
I'm good. How's everything going?
It's going well. Can I call you Joe, or should I call you Joseph? Or should I call you Lyle, or should I call you Taylor?
Joe is good.
All right. Well, welcome to the podcast, Joseph Lyle Taylor. I'm going to call you Joe. For those of you who might not know, right now, Joe, I guess Joe's most recent thing is that he's on season 2 of Sneaky Pete on Amazon Prime. Is that right? Is that your most recent thing?
That is correct.
I love Sneaky Pete. And are you as excited to be on it as I am to watch it?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. We shot over the summer in 17 up to October, and so it just aired in March. And yeah, those guys are great to work with. Just fantastic, smart writers, great showrunner, and all the directors were really top notch, and the talent too. The acting was great too.
That's a really smart show. So let's talk about, first, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate you taking the time out.
Oh, my pleasure.
So let's talk about where you came from. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a town called Vidor, Texas. It's on the southeast section of the state on I-10, about 10 miles from the border of Louisiana. And I went to elementary school and high school there, and then I moved to California for a couple of years and went to school here. And then I moved to New York and went to school there and stayed in New York for about 20 years. And then now I've come back out to California.
Gotcha. Now I'm in Bernie, Texas, which is about 40 miles west of San Antonio, I think. It's also
over there.
Yeah, also on I-10. And so I've lived here I lived in San Antonio my whole life, and I know a little bit about Vidor. And so without going into any detail, how big of a culture shock was it for you to move from Vidor, Texas to LA and or New York?
Oh, it was massive. I moved to New York. I'd never been there before, so I had really no idea just how massive Manhattan and the metro area was. So, yeah, I would just find myself walking down 6th Avenue. It's just overwhelming. It's just the scale of the town, So, yeah, coming from a town of about 11,000, moving into a town of about 8 million it was a pretty big shock.
Yeah, I imagine. I've been to New York twice and LA twice, and my small town is a little bit bigger than your small town, but it's still a pretty big shock. So, when did you know that you wanted to be an actor? Because I know that, I'm sorry to interrupt you already, but I know that maybe you weren't always on the acting path. What did you do before you were an actor?
Well, I got into it in high school. A friend of mine in Vidor, Brian Barron, said, hey, you should try the drama department. And I was like, why? We played football together. He says, well, it's an easy A. You just get in and come around, goof around, and you make an A. Get your GPA up, And I'm like, oh, all right, yeah. So I got in my sophomore year, and there we had a teacher, and her name is Adonia Plessette. And for whatever reason, she was teaching at Vidor High School, I don't know, but she was very serious about theater. If you're from Texas and if you're in the theater, we have a UIL competition around the state. So all the high schools who are participating, they get I believe it's a 40-minute play. The first year, I think actually my first year of high school, Adonia Plessette and her drama department did Equus, which is a Peter Shaffer play. It's a very interesting, dramatic play about a kid who has confused religion with these horses, So it's a very sort of operatic drama. Beautiful. It's a beautiful play. And she did this in the UIL competition. So they cut it down from a full-length play to a one-act, 40 pages, 40 minutes. And they came in third. It's a huge competition. And to place first, second, or third in the state is, it's massive. We got to go see the show. They take a freshman class, a sophomore class, a junior class, a senior class, and we get to watch the show. And it was just inspiring. And I really had no idea that anything really could have such a profound effect on a person. To this day, it's 40 years ago, 30 years ago, and I still remember, watching that. So I guess that's kind of where it started, but I really had no plans to continue with the acting thing until another acting teacher says, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I have no plans, guess I get a job. And she says, well, you should, try to get a scholarship to college. You have some talent as an actor. And so I did. I guess I started seriously thinking about it at that point,
Well, that makes sense. What was your first paid acting gig? Like, when did you get your your card, your SAG-AFTRA? Or...
Well, my first paid acting gig was Law and Order. I mean, I'd done a couple of theater pieces, I think, that I gotten paid for, but I didn't get my equity card till later. But I went in and I auditioned for Skank, the innocent skinhead on the original Law and Order. You know, ended up booking it. In fact, they wanted me to come in for the other character, and I said, no, I want to come in for Skank. You know, and they're like, oh, well, you know, they want to see you for the other guy. But I just went ahead, you know, I was in, you know, just coming out of acting school and all this, and we were all very much like, do what you feel, you know, and I'm like, I really feel Skank. And so I went in and I prepared for Skank, and Suzanne Ryan let me read for Skank, you know, which she didn't have to, but she did. And anyway, they sent the tape off, and people were excited about it, so I got a call back for producers and the director, and then I ended up booking it, you know. At that point, this is probably 93, I thought, well, this is it, you know, I've made it. I've made it, finally, you know. And so I got to do that, and I got paid. And I was lucky because I didn't have to pay my union dues right away. You know, you didn't have to join the union until your second gig.
Oh, good.
And, of course, you know, they really lowballed you, you know, when you're starting out, you know, you make hardly any money.
Right.
And the second gig I got was Spike Lee's Girl 6, and I had a couple of days on that film. And I had to join equity. I mean, I had to join Screen Actors Guild at that point, which cost me more than what I made. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So I had to call my mom and borrow, you know, a few $100s to get my SAG card, you know.
So how does that work? You say, hey, Mom, I made it. I need to borrow some money so I can make it.
She's like, you really need to think about doing something else.
So what did your family think you were going to be?
Oh, you know, I don't know. My dad was pretty much on board. He liked the idea. You know, he died in 94, so he did get to see the Law and Order episode I did. And he was proud of that. You know, he really liked that.
Good.
You know, Mom was always a bit more practical, I guess, you know, trying to get me to do something else.
Sure.
But not too much. I mean, she's been pretty supportive, you know, really.
Well, I may be wrong, but I can't imagine there's a whole lot of professional actors that come out of Viter.
I don't know that there are many. You know, I can't think of any other ones right off the top of my head.
So then you do this Spike Lee film, and I'm assuming that went well. What was next?
It's just so long ago. I did that, and then the next job I remember was another Spike Lee film called He Got Game, and I got it with Denzel Washington. I had a pretty good part in that one. I think I had about a month on the job. You know, Jim Brown and I played partners. We were parole officers, watching out, keeping an eye on Denzel Washington while he got out and got to, you know, convince this kid to go to a certain college. I can't remember the exact premise, but
Sure.
something like that.
Sure.
And so I did like 4 weeks on that, about a month, I think, on that, which was pretty good. I remember I was taking the train back. I lived in Brooklyn at the time. We shot out in Coney Island, so you take the F train, you know, and it was about a 45-minute ride out to Coney Island. And this guy, Scott, I think his name was, he was my stand-in. And so I got on the train, and he was on the train, and we just happened to be in the same car. He goes, what are you doing taking the train? Don't they send a car for you? And I'm like, no, they don't send a car for you. You know, I got to take the train just like you. So, you know, here we are, me and my stand-in, taking the train out to Coney Island, you know. But it was great. It was great fun. I had a really good time shooting that movie. It turned out to be a pretty good movie.
Well, I would imagine that taking a car would probably take about twice as long as the train in Manhattan.
Yeah, but usually when you're doing like a pretty big role on a movie, you know, which I was, I can't remember what my cast number was, but it was, you know, it was pretty good. It was up there. You know, usually they'll send a car to come pick you up and take you to and fro from work, or, you know, they'll send a van, you know, the Teamsters will drive a van and come pick you up.
Sure.
But at that point, you know, it was early on in my career, and, you know, I had to take the train. Spike was good about saving money.
Yeah. But
you know, he like 3 other films of his. You know, he really, I did a lot of work with Spike Lee.
He must like you.
A lot of fun, you know.
Yeah, you must have made an impression on him.
Yeah, and then also, and then off of Girl 6, I got a phone call from those guys from the production office, which I thought it was a joke. You know, I thought somebody was pranking me. And then like, hey, listen, Prince wants to use your scene in his album. You know, he wants to take a cut of your voice and put on the soundtrack. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, he wants to put you in the soundtrack. So if you ever listen to the Girl 6 soundtrack, I'm in there, and Prince is singing Girl 6, and I go, oh, yeah.
So did you get paid for that?
I never got a dime for that.
Oh, man, I would have asked
Never, not one dime.
I would have just asked for $1 just so I could have that check. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. Well, you know, I tried to get some money off that, but I didn't have. I guess, you know, people don't really pay attention to you unless you got, you know, you can take them to court. You know?
That's true. That's true. So you also perform on the stage, like you do theater, right?
Yeah, I came up doing theater. You know, I had a theater company in New York for probably 5 or 6 years, maybe a little bit longer. And a bunch of friends of mine, you know, we started a theater company in New York, probably about 10 or 12 of us. Yeah, we'd put together a reading series, and then we'd choose out of those readings, you know, which we liked best. You know, we'd put up about a $4,000 or $5,000 production in a little 99-seat theater under the Showcase contract in New York. You know, it was a lot of fun. We sold some of them. We sold out. Some of them we didn't. But you know, it was a lot of really good work that we did.
Very cool. Do you do theater work now in LA?
I haven't done much theater work here. You know, there's not a lot of equity houses out in Los Angeles. You know, they do a lot of non-equity theater, but I'm part of the union, so I don't fool around with that stuff. You know, but in New York, I'll go back and do a play in New York here and there.
Gotcha.
I guess last time I did one was in 2015, something like that.
Gotcha.
But it's, you know, I really love it. In fact, I was just watching a thing on YouTube about the group theater in the 30s, you know, with Clifford Odets and Lee Strasberg and Harold Clurman. Fascinating, you know.
That's awesome. The episode of my show that's out right now is with Bill Brochtrup. He is an actor from, you know, like NYPD Blue and Major Crimes and stuff like that. But he is the co-artistic director of the Antaeus Theater Company in Glendale. And
oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I think that's an equity house. So if you know, I mean, I was there. I went and visited him there. It was a really beautiful place. Super nice guy. Maybe if you're looking for one, that might be one you could try.
Yeah, that's something to look into, definitely.
And I think it was started by Dakin Matthew. I don't know if you know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw him last year in Waitress on Broadway.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, the Adrian Shelley thing.
Yes. Anyway, so, which do you prefer? Like, I would say if given the choice, but obviously you do have the choice. What do you prefer between TV, film, and stage?
You know, I like all of them. When you do a play, you pretty much have... You know, you're able to do the whole arc in one sitting. So you really have, you know, it exercises a different sort of acting muscle. You know, you're going to play the entire life of your character. And over television and film are pretty similar. You know, television works a lot faster than film. But, you know, you come in and it's all piecemeal work. You know, you'll do a scene here, or maybe 2 scenes here, and then, you know, next week you'll do another scene. You know, you have to think about your continuity, you know, your arc of your character. You know, and in theater, it's all right there. You know, you live in time. So I like, but you know, also in television and in film, you know, everything is so intimate, you know, because the camera gets so close. So, you know, you can really see thought. You know, if you're doing an emotional scene or something, you know, it's just everything is so subtle, you know, because they're right inside. Theaters, you know, it's a bit bigger, and you know, you have to play to the back of the house. You know what I mean?
Right. That makes sense. How did you come about coming back to LA from New York? Like, what were those steps? How'd that work?
Well, I did a film that pulled me back out here. You know, I was going through a divorce in New York, and so I just stayed here, you know. That's it. Nothing very exciting, you know. It's just one of those things. You know, you can really live in 2 places when you're in this business. You either live in LA or you live in New York. I mean, it's starting to open up now because there's so much, you know, you get on tape for a lot of things, but, you know, pretty much if you got to go into rooms, you need to be here or there.
What are you working on anything right now?
Yeah, I'm working on. Well, I got a couple of projects that I'm writing, and then I have another short film that I'm going to direct and play one of the parts in. And so I just talked to my DP a couple of days ago, and the writer and another actress that I want to work with, and so that's all sort of slowly coming together. I'm going to shoot that probably in September.
So do you have your own? Do you have your own production company?
Well, yeah, it's not really. I'll have to put something together to get this going. It's all going to be pretty small budget stuff. It won't be a huge thing. It's like a little 25-page play that I did a couple years back, and so we've been adapting it into screenplay form. It's a really beautiful, poetic piece, and I want to shoot it, so we're going to shoot it.
Cool. When did you start writing?
Well, I've been writing for, I don't know, probably about 5 or 6 years now, I guess. I had an idea back in 2012. No, maybe it was 2010. And started banging it out. It took me probably about 8 months, and I got a first draft, and people liked it, so it's a comedy. And so I just kept doing it. I got 3 or 4 things that I've either completed or on the verge of completion or rewriting.
That first one, was that The Glamour of It All?
Oh, yeah, The Glamour of It All. Yeah, I did that probably two or 3 years ago. I shot with Risa Brayman Garcia and a couple other folks here in Los Angeles. A little comedy, it's like 4.5-minute comedy. Did you see it?
No, I didn't. I was just wondering if that was the one you were talking about.
No, the other one I was talking about was a feature, but this one was a lot of fun to shoot, and I'm in fact drawing it out into a half hour comedy.
Oh, cool. If I wanted to see it, where could I see it?
Oh, yeah, just type in The Glamour of It All and Joseph Lyle Taylor, and it'll pop up on Vimeo.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you have a writing partner or anything like that? I know some people do.
Yeah, a lot of people do. I don't. I just write it out. I do a workshop with Bobby Moresco. He wrote Crash and $1 Million Baby. He's brilliant. So I go in every week when he's around, and we'll work on stuff.
That's cool. Tell me about Paco and James.
Yeah, see, that's my first feature right there. I'm doing a rewrite on that right now. But the premise of Paco and James is that a down-and-out screenwriter gets his project greenlit by the Mexican cartel, and then the cartel kidnaps him and a handful of A-list actors, brings him down to Mexico and forces him to act in this independent film. And so that's the premise of that.
Are you going to be in it?
I don't know. I might just produce on it. I'm doing a rewrite right now. Bobby Moresco is interested in it, so he's like, let's change this up, sort of just to refocus the point of view. And so we'll see what happens.
Gotcha.
But it's very funny, and done a couple of readings of it, and it gets a huge response.
Okay, cool. So you have been in some pretty big television series over the course of your acting career. Oh, you were in The Last Tycoon, weren't you?
No, I did one episode of The Last Tycoon with
Matt Bomer.
Yeah, Boomer. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he's from oil country out here. He grew up with a bunch of roughnecks and in the oil field and stuff.
Oh, he did? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So out Houston area?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun. I was kind of I thought it was a really nice show. I liked it, and I had a nice political conversation with Kelsey Grammer, which was cool. Smart guy.
I bet that was interesting.
Yeah, he's a little right and I'm a little left, you know what I mean? But we almost got it all figured out.
Well, that's pretty cool. If I remember correctly, politics came into play a lot in that season 1. Is there going to be a season 2? Do you know?
I don't think there is. I think they got canceled.
Gotcha.
But I'm not sure. They may be doing it,
right.
But it seems like I heard something. But yeah, I came in. I played a union organizer, but it was cool. It was good. Historic.
So is working for Amazon or Netflix, I don't know if you work for Netflix, but is working for those studios different than working for maybe other regular studios? Does that make sense?
Well, their pays, they sort of lowball you on pay. They have a lower scale rate. The networks have to pay more than those the cable shows and the online shows. But it's not horrible. But they're all through, like Sneaky Pete went through Sony, so Sony was the big producer, and then Amazon is the distributor of the content.
Gotcha.
But other than that, it's pretty much the same. And the thing about working on these online and cable shows is that, the content can be a bit more risque or violent or, shocking.
I agree wholeheartedly. And that's why we're in a great, great age of television. Is because everybody's pushing the boundaries everywhere.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
So, how long were you on Justified?
I did season 2 of Justified. I think I did 11 episodes in season 2, 11 out of 13.
And I think Margot Martindale was on that show too, right?
Yeah, Margot won an Emmy for that season.
Well, did you get to work with her on Sneaky Pete?
We did not get to work together, but we got to hang out. We were on set at the same time a couple of times. But I've known Margot for a long time. We worked together on a show I did with Sidney Lumet back in 2001, 2002 called 100 Center Street. And I was a series regular with Alan Arkin, and she came in, and I think she probably did like 7 or 8 episodes. Maybe not quite that many, but she did a bunch of them. And so we got to meet there, and another friend of mine, Manny Perez, who was also on 100 Center Street, he did a couple of movies that Margot and I acted in.
Oh, good.
So it was nice. It was fun to play her son, because we're both from Texas. Because she's I don't remember exactly. I think she's Tyler area or something up there,
Oh, okay. I didn't know that she was from here. That's cool.
Yeah, and her brother was a big golfer. Yeah, she had a big, pro golfer brother.
Oh, wow.
I don't know much about him, but,
So you've gotten to work with some pretty high-profile actors, actresses, directors, producers. Is there anything maybe that stands out that you've learned just from watching all of these seasoned pros? Like anything that sort of helped you along your way?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's really kind of countless amount of things you learn. Especially working with really great people, being on set with really, master craftsmen. When I was we did 100 Center Street for a couple of years, and, I was always tagging along with Sidney, and just seeing how he set up his shots and seeing how he set up his rehearsals. And, he was a real master at that. He also wrote a great book called Making Movies, which is, if anybody's interested, it's a really excellent book to read. Let me give you a flavor of it. But he was great. And then, Graham Yost and Michael Denner and Fred Golan, they were executive producers of Sneaky Pete and Justified. Graham let me come into on the last season, let me come into the writer's room and listen to all these guys pitch their stories and how they start kind of putting things together and on the big board. It's, it's indelible.
Wow.
Some of this information that you get. And if you're interested in it and you're around it, I highly suggest, I got to come in on another episode of Justified and trail Adam Arkin while he directed an episode. So it was great. I learned a lot.
How is working with, say, Christopher Nolan different than like a Woody Allen? Those got to be wildly different styles. How do you adjust to the differences in the director?
Well, there's not much adjusting to do. I mean, you come in, with your lines learned, and they tell you how to sit and where to go and, what they want. And, if you got like a really strong, emotional scene or a pivotal scene, you get a little more time with them. But, if you're just doing a little thing, it's pretty quick. Yeah, I went and met Christopher Nolan on The Dark Knight Rises, and he was really cool, and I'm a big fan of his. I've seen all his movies, and so anyway, I got to chat with him for a bit about Following, which I had recently seen, and on the apartment door of his main guy goes to his friend's apartment, and on that door is a Batman insignia, a sticker of Batman insignia, and it's 25 years or 20 years before he did his Batman movie. So we were kind of laughing about that. And he said, yeah, there's one in Memento, too, but I missed that one, But here he is, 20 years later, making massive Batman movies.
I think that's the best one.
Yeah, I liked it, too. I liked the one with Heath Ledger. I thought his performance in that was just stellar, especially coming off of an icon like Jack Nicholson playing that role, you know.
I remember when Heath got cast in that, everybody was saying he is going to ruin his career because no matter what he does, he's not going to be able to do it as well as Jack did. But then, lo and behold, he put up a stellar performance.
Oh, yeah, he had a totally different take, and I thought it was really brilliant. Woody Allen is a lot of fun to work with. You know, Woody works real fast. You come in ready to go, and I did a couple of his movies, and I had a really good time both times. Spike Lee, I really enjoyed working with Spike Lee, too.
So the Woody Allen movies, that was Cafe Society, and which other one?
Anything Else.
Ah, okay.
Which was not one of my favorite Woody Allen flicks, you know, but you know, he made some great films, Woody Allen, and I like the way he shoots, too. You know, he sort of does a lot of Steadicam stuff, and, you know, he just comes off of one character onto another, and you'll have a whole scene. And, you know, the problem, I think, a lot of time in directing and film and stuff is that, you know, you get into, like, this sort of wide shot, and then you get into coverage. And a lot of times you get in on these tights on everybody, and you just have no idea where you are spatially anymore as a viewer, you know?
Right.
But Woody is really good about showing you where you are, you know, keeping the space in the game.
Now, he makes just about a movie a year, right?
Yeah, he did. I don't know what's happening now with all this, you know, sort of hubbub that's going on, but yeah, he made a movie a year. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's
you know,
crazy.
when I went in for Anything Else. I went to audition, and, you know, there's a certain point as a New York actor that you'll reach a certain status and you'll get called in to go meet with Woody Allen. You know, it's kind of a rite of passage. And so I got my call, and I went in. You go to this, like, sort of, I can't remember what it's called, but it's on Fifth Avenue. You know, it's a nice place, the country club type of place, and a high-dollar joint. So you go in, you say hello to the concierge, and they send you around the back. You know, and you got to go through the bunch of different hallways. And he says, you'll come to a double door. When you come to a double door, push the button, push the buzzer, the doors will open. You go in, you'll be in an antechamber, you know, and there'll be another set of double doors. Just wait there. You know, just stand there and wait, and they'll come and let you in.
Wow.
So that's what happened, you know. So I stand there and wait. They finally come and got me, and I sat down, and I have no pages. I have nothing. I don't know what I'm going to do. They're like, look, it may be a 5-second meeting. It may be a half-hour meeting. You don't know. Just go over there and do it. And I sit down, and the woman who's working the office, she prints out a full page of paper, you know, and then she prints out another page of paper. She tears off the top quarter of the second page, staples the two pieces of paper together, hands it to me, and those are my lines, you know. So I'm like, okay, you know, so.
Wow.
And then you walk into, like, this dark area, you know, you can't see anything. Juliet Taylor's there, and she leads you in, and you sit in a chair that has a spotlight on it, and she sits in another chair with a spotlight on it, and everything is dark, and then you just read the scene, right? And there's one spotlight off in the distance a little bit, and then after I finish my read, Woody Allen leans into the light, and he says, can we take a Polaroid of you? And back when they took Polaroids, you know. And I'm like, sure. So they took a Polaroid, and then a couple days later, I got the job. But it was a crazy, strange experience, you know.
That sounds really, really strange.
You know, people who go in and meet with the guy with Woody Allen, they have similar stories.
Wow.
Because I was doing a play. I had just done a play, Sideman, on Broadway. We won the Tony in '99, and Frank Wood had won a Tony for Best Supporting Actor. And he had gone in and met with Woody Allen, and he had told this story. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And I thought in my mind, I'm like, well, I can't be that crazy. I mean, Frank must be, like, exaggerating or something. But then the next year, the same thing happened to me. I'm like, well, there you go.
How was it with Christopher Nolan? Was he weird, or was he cool, or?
Well, you know, he's a genius. I mean, they're both geniuses, and they're doing their own thing, and, you know, what are you going to do? But the same thing with Christopher Nolan. It's like, I had the job, and nobody would send me my lines. You know, and I'm like, look, guys, you got to send me my lines. You know, I don't need the whole pages. All I need are my lines, and I just got to memorize them. So I'm not like, because I hate going in to do a show when I don't have time to memorize my lines, because then all it's about is trying to remember your line. you're not having any fun because you're like, what do I say? Oh, do I say this? It's all that kind of thought. They didn't want to send it to me, and I kept asking again. Finally, I'm like, look, guys, I can't come. I'm not coming. I'm not going to come if I don't have my lines, And finally, the guy I was talking to, the second AD, he just read my lines out for me, with nobody else's lines, just my lines. So I had like 2 pages of lines, so I can memorize them. I don't know where they go, but at least I have them memorized when I get there, and I can slot them in, and then I can, have fun with my character. And so Chris Nolan comes up to me when I got there, and I'm shooting, and he's like, well, did you get your lines? I'm like, yeah, thanks.
Oh my gosh.
So it's weird,
That's really only on bigger secretive stuff, right?
Yeah, but, it's like I'm in the show.
Yeah, I got you.
People would, I don't know. I mean, I guess some people will sell their sides or something online. I don't know. I find that would be weird to do, but, I mean, maybe that's the fear,
Yeah, it does seem like a hard way to do your job if you don't really know what your job is.
I mean, a lot of people are cool, I guess, just going in. And if you only have a couple lines here or there, it's great. But if you got a little monologue that you have to say, then you're going to be fighting the whole time,
Right.
But anyway, I got my lines and, went in, and it turned out pretty good. So everybody was happy. And Wally Pfister was the DP, who I'm a huge fan of, so we got to hang out some, and it was fun. I mean, but it's like the big show, and you got a bunch of big stars in it. So yeah, it's kind of an intimidating set to walk into, I guess.
I bet.
But it all turned out pretty good. Everybody was very cool.
Good. I'm glad it turned out well. One of my favorite TV shows ever was the short-lived Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. Were you in that?
Oh, well, wasn't that great?
Oh, my God, I loved it so much.
Wasn't that a great show?
It was so good.
Aaron Sorkin. And look, I like the Tina Fey show, 30 Rock, but and I remember when it came out, there was a big sort of like, oh, well, which one are they going to go with, Studio 60 or 30 Rock? And they went with 30 Rock, but it was an Aaron Sorkin show. So I was really happy to go work with Aaron Sorkin. And Tommy Shalami, both of them. Again, they're top of their game guys. Tommy Shalami he played quarterback for some college team down in Texas. I don't know if it was A&M or I don't think it was UT, but it was he played down there.
Wow. That show was so well written and so well acted. When those two came out, for whatever reason, that was the year that we had to have 2 shows about the behind the scenes of a Saturday Night Live style program. One an hour-long drama and one a 30-minute comedy. And even though they were polar opposites, I felt like there was room for them both to succeed. But I guess I chose wrong because I still have never seen an episode of 30 Rock. But I saw every single episode of Studio 60. It was my favorite show.
Studio 60 was a fantastic show, and I was really surprised that they didn't pick it up. I think it should have run for 10 years. It was great. And Matthew Perry, seriously, hanging out with Matthew Perry is like one of the funniest people. He just keeps you laughing. It's hilarious, just hilariously smart, funny man.
Bradley Whitford was no slouch either.
Yeah, and I didn't have any scenes. All my scenes were with Matthew Perry.
Gotcha.
Because the thing was I played was a hallucination of Matthew Perry's because he was doing pills,
Yeah.
And so it turns out that I was the younger him,
What a compliment.
Yeah, it was great. And then, of course, both of us are playing Aaron Sorkin. We're the Aaron Sorkin character. And Aaron Sorkin was very cool. He was really smart and gracious and humble and, just a real mensch,
Tell me about pilot season. Anything going on?
Oh, pilot season sucks, man. Pilot season is the worst. It's a crazy idea that, after Sundance through maybe the first week of April, everybody's trying to cast their pilot, their first show. So if they're looking for your age guy, then you'll have a busy season. If they're looking for 20-somethings, then you'll have nothing. It's just a mad rush. And then, you get in and you read, and, then you got to go test for the studio, which is completely nerve-wracking. And then if you pass the studio test, then you got to go to the network, and, it's madness. It's crazy. But, if you book them, it's good. If you book them and they get picked up, it's better.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard that before you even get to audition, like, I don't know when in the process, but before you get to audition, you already have to sign a contract of what you will be making?
Yeah, well, that comes at the studio test.
Gotcha.
So you'll go in for something, and, you'll come in for producers, and if the producers like you, they're like, oh, we love you, well, I mean, I had this I was up for this thing. I was called Canterbury Law, right? It was probably, I can't remember, a couple of years back, maybe 4 years ago. And so I went in, I can't remember how it first happened. I went in and read for producers. I think Jim Serpico was one of them. It went really well. And so I got called in for a studio test. And so you had to go, I think we were out at Culver City Studios. It's Sony, I think it was a Sony Productions. So I go out to Culver City, and I meet a friend of mine's up for the same role as me, Ben Shankman. And then there was another guy that he knew and I didn't know, and there were three of us, we were all up for it. We go through this, and then the contracts come down, so you got to sign, you're making, it's a good amount of money. You're like, oh, excellent, which has been negotiated with your agent. And the bigger agent you have, the better agent, stronger agent you have, the more money you're going to make on your contract.
Sure.
That's just how it goes down. So we all sign our contracts, and then we go in and killed it. And so the next day we got to go network test, and now it's only me and Ben. The other guy got knocked out. So Ben and I go in. And it's, it's nerve-wracking. You can't hardly think about anything else other than trying to get this job. It's a big, big job interview for a lot of money. So I go in, nail it, come out. Oh, no, but first, so I'm up on the, wherever, it was at Fox, out in Avenue of the Stars, right? I'm in the bathroom, and Dave, the writer, comes out. And I'm like, hey, you got any notes from yesterday? And he goes, look, you're totally wrong for it. He says, you're totally wrong for it, man. You're totally wrong for it. He says, that's not what I had in mind when I wrote it, And he's like, but you know what? I love what you're doing, man. I love what you're doing. So just keep doing what you're doing, right? And I'm like, I got to go in, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, well, I'm the underdog. That's what you know. I'm the underdog at this point. I go in, read it, and kill it. It's money. It's money. Spot on, boom, boom, boom. I go out, and then Ben goes in. And, Ben is like a New York intellectual. Ben Shankman, a fantastic actor. I'm like from Texas. We're totally different. So it just depends on how you're going to go with it. We're both. He's a high caliber actor too. He goes in, he does his thing, he comes back out, and so we're friends. We did plays together in New York, so we're hanging out talking about whatever, And then Jim Serpico and the other guy comes out, and they're like, "You got to go back in." I'm like, "What? You got to go back in?" I'm like, "What's the note?" He goes, "There's no note. There's no note." So I got to go back in. I go back in. I do it a second time. It kills. Ben goes back in. It kills. Two totally different takes. And so then the whole weekend, it's back and forth between me and Ben. Oh, you got it. Oh, no. It looks like Ben's got it. Oh, no. And anyway, Ben ended up getting it. But that's the kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's just insane.
That's crazy. I think I know who Ben Shankman is. I think he was on Royal Pains, a USA television program.
Yes, yeah. He and Mark Furstein did that together.
Yes.
And Ben's on something now. I saw a trailer for something. I think Billions. I think I don't know what kind of role he has, but I think I saw him in Billions.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's a good actor. I like him. Everything I've seen him in, it's been great. So.
Yeah, he won an Emmy for Angels in America.
Oh, okay.
I believe he won. I think he won. I mean, if he didn't, he was nominated.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Tell me about Ascension. How's that going?
Oh, Ascension's good. I had a reading of that. There's another project I wrote, and it's kind of based on Blackwater, Eric Prince's, mercenaries, these contractors that are working in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Right.
So I had a reading of it. It went well. There's a little bit of interest. I don't like to talk too much about it, but, we'll see what happens. But it's exciting and fun,
I know I'm not supposed to say good luck, so break both of your legs or whatever.
Break a leg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
break them both, man. I hope it goes for a long time. Break them both. So what's in the future for Joe Taylor? What's going on? What do you got coming up? What are your
Well,
plans?
We're waiting on. Get this little short. I'm getting together. I'm rewriting Paco and James right now. We're waiting for the pickups for the. They do what's called the upfronts in New York, and so they'll pick up whatever pilots are going to be turned into series, and then hopefully we'll get busy in the next couple of weeks shooting some new shows. That's what's on the list.
Well,
Just did an episode of NCIS with Mark Harmon, which was fun, and that aired last week. And so, we'll see what happens.
So what happened to Mark Harmon? Back in the 80s, he was a comedic genius actor, and now he's like a super serious actor. What's going on there?
I don't know, but I really liked the man. He was fun to hang out with, very cool, have a real nice conversation with him. Like, yeah, I could hang out with this dude,
So when you were talking to him, was he serious or was he just jovial? Like, was he just hanging, or like how was his manner?
Yeah, he was just hanging, pretty jovial. We had some laughs. He was a big football player too. He was a quarterback for UCLA.
No, that's right. Forgot about that.
His dad won the Heisman. He was a running back.
That's insane.
So we talked a little bit of sports, and I worked with Jim Brown, and he got game, so we talked about how great Jim Brown was and all that stuff. When you're in this business, you have a lot of people that connect you. You're like, oh yeah, I worked with him. Oh yeah, because he was talking about Lucas Black, who's on the other NCIS show, New Orleans. And I'm like, yeah, I did a movie with him with KJ Choi, all about golf. I played his father. But man, this kid can golf. Lucas Black he's a scratch golfer. I mean, this guy is good enough to be, in my opinion, good enough to be on tour.
Really?
So we talked about golf for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, no, seriously. He outdrove KJ Choi.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he outdrove KJ Choi. And not only that, Rich Beam was there. He outdrove everybody that we were there that day. I think Rich Beam was there. KJ Choi was there. I don't know. I can't remember who else, but there were a couple other, pro golfers.
Wow, that is amazing.
But no, Lucas Black's got a big swing, and he can nail it.
Well, now you can say that you worked with another Heisman Trophy winner. Steve Owens won the Heisman Trophy in 1969.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, well, a different Steve Owens, but
you won the Heisman Trophy. what? That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks, man. There's a statue of me over in Norman, Oklahoma, and it was 5 years before I was born, so it's really impressive.
Oh. I'm like 1969, huh? Hilarious.
Joseph, before I let you go, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social media, and if you have a website, tell us what that is too.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Joseph L. Taylor, and I also am on Facebook, Joe Taylor. That's about it. So who won the Heisman Trophy? Was that your father or just some other guy named Steve Owens?
Completely unrelated, just some other guy named Steve Owens.
Gotcha.
And I think he ended up played for Detroit.
Huh.
He ended up playing for the Detroit Lions for 1 or 2 seasons before he got hurt. So, and it was like the year after O.J. Simpson won or something like that.
Funny.
Anyway, Joe, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me, dude. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Steve. I appreciate it too. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And everybody, don't forget to check out Joseph Lyle Taylor on season 2 of Sneaky Pete. He plays Frank Hooper, bad guy. So check him out for sure. Bad guy. Do you play mostly bad guys, good guys, everybody guys?
Yeah, I play everybody guys. I do enjoy playing the bad guy. Bad guys are a lot of fun to play.
It's got to be more fun.
But, I go between the bad guy and like the cop and the detective and the lawyer, so it's, and go check out the glamour of it all. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, everybody check that out. I'm going to check it out as soon as this is over. All right, buddy. Thank you so much, man. Have a great rest of your week.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
What's up, guys? I'm back with this month's Menlo Club promo code. Menlo Club, as you know, is a subscription-based clothing service for men that I've been using for over 2.5 years. Every month, for $60, tax and shipping included, they send you a surprise package. In that package is everything from jeans to t-shirts to short sleeve button-ups, long sleeve button-ups, shorts, socks, belts,
swimsuits even workout gear. Did I mention shoes? Every month they pick a couple of those different things and they send them to you, all for $60. But when you sign up, if you use promo code FSP, as in Fascination Street Podcast, you'll get 50% off your first month plus free socks and a free pair of sunglasses for the month of July. How cool is that? Just for putting FSP. Just because you're a listener. So go to menlohouse.com and sign up. Use promo code FSP and you'll be happy you did.
Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2014 album Intransigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is Apollo from the 2001 album Into the Known by the band Sapphire. Thanks for hanging out with us and getting to know a little bit about our guest. We'll see you next time on Fascination Street.